No, little church kisses.
Okay.
Something you can do in front of your pastor, your bishop or something.
Okay. I'm generous. And it's like, well, let's dig into his.
Hey besties, it's Mary from Sister Wives Daily. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're getting into all of the juicy gossip from the tell-all that I didn't have time to cover earlier, and believe me, you won't want to miss it. One subject that just continues to come up, both here on the channel and over on my podcast, The Ex-Wives of Kody Brown, is how Kody courted Robyn. It's been a topic of conversation for years, and in this new tell-all, it was finally examined. Throughout the episode, they explained how Kody and Robyn's relationship was deemed totally outside the norms, inappropriate, unorthodox, and outright shocking in the context of fundamentalist Mormonism. In these societies, normally, women are married into a family pretty much as soon as they arrive, with hardly a moment to actually become well acquainted with the man. And that ain't no glitch, it's the point. There are 1,000 reasons for this hasty strategy. Perhaps the most peculiar excuse is that because the man is already married, it would be inappropriate for him to flirt or hang out wooing other women. Consider that for a moment. The psychological contortions involved are astounding. Ironically, the ultimate aim in this religion is for a man to continue adding wives to his household to establish his so-called heavenly kingdom. On the contrary, the more prominent you are in the church, the more wives you're supposed to have. 4 wives? That won't even take you near apostle status. You need a minimum of 5 for that privilege, and if you're gunning for the title of prophet, you'll need at least 7 wives to even be in the running. So when they say it's inappropriate for a married man to pursue more wives, it's laughable, honestly. But what truly crossed the line in Kody and Robyn's situation wasn't just the concept of adding another wife. It was the physical intimacy they shared before marriage that really set alarm bells ringing. Even Janelle has chimed in, candidly discussing just how inappropriate it really was.
It is not really appropriate for a married man to have a long courtship. So they actually courted, I think, for almost like a year.
But let's dive into one of the largest lies Kody and Robyn have ever said on the show for years. And let me tell you, this one totally gets me fired up. They've constantly claimed that their courtship was chaste, painting this picture of an innocent, almost childlike romance. Even when Robyn was directly confronted by Suki about what really happened, she stuck to the story with a completely straight face. She insisted that they did nothing and described their kisses as if they were quick pecks you'd give a child, a parent, or a close friend. Purely platonic, no passion at all. Robyn even went as far to say it was the type of kiss that you could give in front of your church bishop with no shame. But the truth is this, that's a flat-out lie. In the Apostolic United Brethren, AUB, their fundamentalist Mormon faith, premarital kissing is strictly prohibited. Period. No exceptions. Sure, individuals may disobey the rule behind closed doors, but officially, it's totally forbidden. This isn't merely about a mere kiss. The AUB takes these boundaries so seriously that if church leaders were aware of Kody and Robyn's physical relationship prior to marriage, they might have refused to seal them. That's right, their whole union could have been blocked. This all comes back around to Doctrine and Covenants 132, a series of guidelines penned by Joseph Smith himself on the eve of his death, following his practice of polygamy being discovered. In these works, Smith laid down extremely strict definitions of what constitutes adultery and when a man may become intimate with a woman. According to these rules, any physical intimacy, even a kiss, is permissible only after a couple has been sealed in the temple for time and all eternity. Until that sealing occurs and the woman has been duly given to the man by priesthood authority, they are not husband and wife in the eyes of the church. In the AUB, they even have their own temples and rituals, independent of mainstream LDS temples. The sealing ceremony is a biggie. It's the sacred moment when a woman is officially sealed to a man for all eternity. Doctrine and Covenants 132 leaves no doubt about this. If a woman is with another man prior to being sealed, she is an adulteress and faces strict spiritual punishment. She shall be destroyed. And if she is sealed for time and eternity to her first husband, even if separated, being with anyone else qualifies as adultery. This theological system also places severe restraints on men. A husband who makes a vow to one wife and then violates it to another woman is guilty of adultery. All of this theology was essentially a means by which Joseph Smith could justify the accumulation of multiple wives without being considered an adulterer. He built a complex system of vows, anointings, and eternal covenants in order to guard this practice. One especially revealing passage, Doctrine and Covenants 132, paragraph 61, reveals that if a man marries a virgin, then wishes to marry another, and the first wife agrees, it's all justified. The reasoning? The women now belong to him alone, so no adultery has been committed. It's a labyrinth of spiritual loopholes meant to enable men to ever expandingly build their kingdoms while dictating every detail of a woman's spiritual destiny. So, as long as a man was given a woman and they had taken a sealing covenant, he supposedly couldn't do any adultery. In fact, the doctrine even says that if a man has 10 virgins who are given to him, he still isn't guilty of adultery, because in their minds, those women belong to him solely. But that's where the hypocrisy gets tough. If any of those 10 women, once she's been espoused to him, ever is with any other man, she's instantly an adulteress and needs to be destroyed. By this train of thinking, these women were provided to the man in order to multiply and replenish the earth, keep divine promises, and carry on God's work. Their worth is derived solely from having children and working for their husband's spiritual exaltation. This is precisely why so many of these women remain, even after they have exited the relationship. They're so indoctrinated to think that their sole means of salvation, of escaping spiritual and physical destruction, is to be faithful to the man they were sealed to, no matter what. If it means being celibate for the rest of their lives, that's what they feel they need to do. The term destroyed appears over and over again in these doctrines. Not only does this teaching delineate the so-called way to spiritual elevation, but it also provides men with infinite excuses to accumulate more wives. Women, meanwhile, are informed that their entire lifetime's work is to obey, serve, and procreate. When sealed, a woman is required to submit entirely to her husband's priesthood authority. If she disobeys, questions him, or refuses to administer to him as instructed, she's a transgressor. Under this system, disobedience to a husband isn't merely defined as betrayal, it's defined as spiritual death. While I'm not saying violence would happen in every case, the very concept is deeply violent and controlling at its core. It frames women as property, stripping them of agency and self-worth. That's why it's so inspiring to hear Janelle say she hopes to date again someday if she finds the right man. I really hope she gains the courage to overcome these negative teachings and regain her life, because manipulation of this kind, telling women they'll be destroyed if they move beyond a man's control under the guise of religion, is one of the most destructive manipulations. And yet, through all of this, the very basis of Kody and Robyn's relationship is still essentially adulterous from day one. So when Christine confronts them, she isn't being dramatic. And when Janelle calls it inappropriate, that's just her Midwestern nice way of saying they committed adultery and violated important spiritual standards. Here, it's not only about not being physically intimate before marriage. Once married and sealed, the husband must have a covenant with each of the wives. A part of that covenant is to honor, respect, and meet the needs of every woman in the household equally. If there's a schedule or family arrangement, he's only supposed to follow it. For instance, Kody notoriously had a strict rotation schedule, one the wives detested. During nights when he was with a different wife, he wasn't in the position to be sneaking out to spend additional time with Robyn. He absolutely shouldn't have been with Robyn on those days. If he was sneaking around, spending time with Robyn when he was supposed to be with another wife, that is considered adultery in their faith. One of the deepest betrayals for Christine, and she's alluded to this without always saying it directly, was when Kody would disappear to Robyn's house and stay there the entire day, even on days he was scheduled to be with Christine. In the context of their faith, that's not just a broken promise, it's a spiritual transgression. Kody was supposed to be honoring each wife's time equally, but instead, he was essentially having an emotional and physical affair with Robyn on Christine's days, or even Janelle's days. This behavior made their relationship inappropriate long after they were married and sealed. At the end of the day, if Kody and Robyn didn't truly want to participate in a plural marriage, they should have been honest and left. Instead of owning up to their feelings and making a clean break, they continued justifying their actions to themselves and to the family. It's painful to see other family members try to excuse Kody and Robyn's behavior by saying things like, "Oh, they just couldn't help it," or "they were so in love they had to hide it." Christine even mentioned that they felt the need to hide their relationship. But she was clear they should have just been honest. The truth is, you absolutely can control whether you pursue someone outside your marriage. You can choose not to entertain those feelings, not to cross boundaries, and not to betray the commitments you've made. Kody didn't have to seek out Robyn. He could have chosen to focus on the 3 wives he already had and strengthen those bonds. But he wanted more. And let's not forget, the show needed a 4th wife to keep the network interested, which only added fuel to the fire. At the core of all of this, the reality is simple. Kody and Robyn committed adultery. No matter how many times Robyn tries to spin it or downplay it, even sharing a kiss before marriage is considered adultery according to the very rules they claim to uphold. They've often mentioned Doctrine and Covenants 132 as a foundational rule in their faith. While mainstream LDS members don't practice polygamy anymore, and haven't for decades, the belief that it will be reinstated in the afterlife still lingers for some. Meanwhile, fundamentalist groups like theirs continue to believe polygamy is essential for spiritual exaltation. Regardless of how they try to reframe it, the facts remain. Kody and Robyn's relationship broke their sacred rules and betrayed the very system they claimed to honor. So now, I really want to hear from you. What do you think about all of this? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I can't wait to read them. And before you go, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and hit that bell so you never miss an update from me. Thanks so much for watching, besties. See you next time. Bye.